Hey guys, doing something a little different today. This spring, and I should have known better, but I bought a bunch of fruit trees for the New York property at the local big box stores, two of them actually. One basically a farm store, the other one, of all places, a lumber store. And half of them didn't make it. They have a warranty on them, supposed to be guaranteed to grow, but that's a lot of hassle. So I've done this in the past. I haven't done it for a long time, but I'm going to do this again, and I'm going to crack open a peach stone or peach pit, and I'm going to germinate it. It takes a while, but this method greatly reduces the time. You can actually take the pit, and this is a farm market bought. It's a Pennsylvania white peach. So if this germinates, it should be very hardy up here. But anyway, you can take your pit, your stone, whatever you'd like to call it, and obviously inside of this is where the seed lies. So you have to get the seed out to expedite this procedure. I've seen and read where you can bury the whole stone in some potting soil, keep it moist, and if everything goes right, 3 or 4 months later, you'll have germination and you'll have a baby peach tree. But we don't want to wait that long. So the biggest trick of this is getting the seed out without hurting it. Typically, I use a vise. A lot of people use a hammer. A lot of people use vice grips. But if you're very careful, and this is just a little cheesy vise that I have because I'm still building my workshop and not nearly done with that or set up in here. So I'm going to try and crack this without hurting the seed inside. And it just split, or I'm pretty sure it just split. The noise scares me because, like I said, I don't want to damage the seed inside. Okay, it did not split. And the tip of the seed, and I'll show you once I get this out, is a little pointy kind of thing, and that's where the germination takes place. And these things are tough, and again, I'm afraid to put a lot of pressure on it because I don't want to damage the seed inside. And I bought 3 peaches the other day, so I've got, all right, there it goes. Hopefully I didn't hurt the seed. Okay, it looks like I did not. And there's the seed. It kind of looks like an almond. So what we're going to want to do, and there's still some stuff hanging on to, this is where you want to be careful. This point here at the tip is where the seed is actually going to germinate from. You can see there's a pretty good difference between the two ends. This one is more rounded, and this one obviously is pointy. And if this happens to you, don't rip that off because you could damage a seed. So you're going to want to leave that little piece on if it happens to you. And you're going to want to take this seed and submerge it in water for at least 24 hours, because to make this even more expeditious, this brown paper, like if you can think of a peanut in the shell, and when you crack the peanut out, the brown paper that's on it, that's sort of the same thing here. So you're going to soak this in water to soften this brown paper up. 24 hours, sometimes longer, it's going to soften up and you can kind of peel it off. I have a little pick that I use for this in my fingernail. You have to be so careful that you don't damage that little point, because if you do, you might as well, I mean, you could still try it, but I've never had success once I damage that point. So we're going to put this in some water, and once this piece falls out, because I'm anal, I'll dig that out of the water. And we'll be back with removing the brown coating that's on the seed. Okay, so This has been soaking in water for about 24 hours, and I'm going to get it out of here. And hopefully that has softened up this paper enough to get it off. And you've got to be very, very ginger with this. And again, at this little point, you really, really need to be careful. And that slid right off, so now I'm happy. So once you've got your seed removed from the stone or the pit, as I said, you're going to soak it in water. You're going to remove that brown skin paper on it. And once you've got that paper off, then you're going to take a piece of paper towel. Now, mind you, this one I started about a month ago. But you're going to want to take a piece of paper towel and carefully lay the seed. I folded this in quarters. You're going to want to lay the seed on the paper towel and then moisten the towel. Don't make it super wet, but you definitely want it damp. I put my seed in the center, fold it over, and then put it inside of a Ziploc bag. And this sounds kind of weird because everything I know about growing things, seeds don't germinate until the soil is warm. But you cover this up, put it inside the bag, and I put this in the refrigerator, not the freezer, but just the refrigerator for 3 weeks. And the cold keeps mold from forming. After about 3 weeks, it, in my case anyway, for like 99.9% of the time, the seed will not have yet started to germinate. After 3 weeks, I take it out of the refrigerator, leave it in the bag, leave it locked tight. The moisture is still going to be there because it can't escape. And then I put this in a sunny spot. After about another week, week and a half, typically they start to germinate. And if you look at that, you can see that it's obviously germinating. But I'm going to leave it in here until there are several pieces of root growing. Then I will take it out and I'll put it in some potting soil in a small pot. And I'll keep it fairly wet. And it won't be long before the new baby tree starts to pop up. And then, of course, you know what to do from there. So this works as long as, like I said, you don't damage this little point that is so critical. This works. For me, I've done it 5 or 6 times. There's actually peach trees growing in places where they should be growing here instead. And you can do the same thing with plums or nectarines. It's anything with a stone or a pit in the middle basically will work the same way. Just, you know, I recommend that you make sure that the variety that you have is suitable for your growing area. And these definitely are. Because, as I said, these are the Pennsylvania white peach, and they grow in PA. Surprisingly enough, up here in New York, it tends to stay a bit warmer than a little further south in PA, which just I don't understand that, but it does. So, possibly I'll make a follow-up video. It'll be a while, obviously, when this is in a pot and growing, and this one isn't too far behind. It's about a month behind, but it's only October. So I'll nurture it over the winter, and hopefully by spring I'll have a couple of new peach trees that are more acclimated for this area that I can plant out in my property. So thanks, guys. enjoy your day, which is, by the way, October 4th, 2021. And we'll talk soon. Take care now, y'all. And I almost forgot. There's, I believe it's Chinese, of course, a saying that goes, the best time to plant a tree was 10 years ago. The next best time to plant a tree is today.